We have this natural ability to create. The problem is after you imagine that, you open your eyes and you don't have it, people experience more lack.
Today, we'll be discussing an enlightening talk by Dr. Joe Dispenza on how to change your life. Dr. Dispenza is a renowned author, speaker, and expert in the field of personal transformation and human potential. In this talk, Dr. Dispenza shares insights and techniques on how to break free from old patterns and beliefs that may be holding us back in life. He emphasizes that the first step to changing our lives is changing our thoughts, and he offers practical strategies on how to do this. Dr. Dispenza discusses the science behind our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and how they can influence our lives. He shares his own personal experiences and insights on how he overcame his own limitations and achieved personal transformation. Dr. Dispenza offers practical techniques on how to rewire our brains and create new patterns of thought that align with our desired outcomes. He emphasizes the importance of meditation, visualization, and positive self-talk in achieving our goals. In conclusion, Dr. Joe Dispenza's talk on how to change your life offers powerful insights and practical techniques on how to overcome limiting beliefs and achieve personal transformation. By changing our thoughts and emotions, we can change our actions and outcomes and create a life that aligns with our true desires. I highly recommend watching this talk for anyone looking to create positive change in their lives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Up in the morning, they begin to think about their problems. Those problems are circuits, memories in the brain. Each one of those memories are connected to people and things at certain times and places. And if the brain is a record of the past, the moment they start their day, they're already thinking in the past. Each one of those memories has an emotion. Emotions are the end product of past experiences. So the moment they recall those memories of their problems, they all of a sudden feel unhappy, they feel sad, they feel pain. Now, how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So the person's entire state of being when they start their day is in the past. So what does that mean? The familiar past will sooner or later be predictable future. So if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, and you can't think greater than how you feel, or feelings have become the means of thinking, by very definition of emotions, you're thinking in the past. And for the most part, you're going to keep creating the same life. So then people grab their cell phone, they check their WhatsApp, they check their text, they check their emails, they check Facebook, they take a picture of their feet, they post it on Facebook, they tweet something, they do Instagram, they check the news, and now they feel really connected to everything that's known in their life. And then they go through a series of routine behaviors. They get out of bed on the same side, they go to the toilet, they get a cup of coffee, they take a shower, they get dressed, they drive to work the same way, they do the same things, they see the same people, they push the same emotional buttons, and that becomes the routine, and it becomes like a program. So now they've lost their free will to a program, and there's no unseen hand doing it to them. So when it comes time to change, the redundancy of that cycle becomes a subconscious program. So now 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a memorized set of behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that function like a computer program. So then a person can say with their 5% of their conscious mind, I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be free. But the body's on a whole different program. So then how do you begin to make those changes? Well, you have to get beyond the analytical mind, because what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. And that's where meditation comes in, because you can teach people to practice how to change their brainwaves, slow them down. And when they do that properly, they do enter the operating system where they can begin to make some really important changes. So most people then wait for crisis or trauma or disease or diagnosis. They wait for loss, some tragedy to make up their mind to change. And my message is, why wait? And you can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, or you can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. And I think right now, the cool thing is that people are waking up. Most people spend 70% of their life living in survival and living in stress. So they're They're always anticipating the worst case scenario based on a past experience. And they're literally, out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, they're selecting the worst possible outcome, and they're beginning to emotionally embrace it with fear. And they're conditioning their body into a state of fear. Do that enough times, the body has a panic attack without you. You can't even predict it because it's programmed subconsciously. So people become addicted to the rush of those emotions, and they use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their limitation, so at least they can feel something. So now when it comes time to change, you say to the person, why are you this way? Well, every time they recall the event, they're producing the same chemistry in their brain and body as if the event is occurring, firing and wiring the same circuits and sending the same emotional signature to the body. Well, what's the relevance behind that? Well, your body is your unconscious mind. In a sense, if you're sitting down and you start thinking about some future worst case scenario that you're conjuring up in your mind, and you begin to feel the emotion of that event, your body doesn't know the difference between the event that's taking place in your world, outer world, and what you're creating by emotion or thought alone. So most people then, they're constantly reaffirming their emotional states. So when it comes time to give up that emotion, they can say, I really want to do it. But really the body is stronger than the mind because it's been conditioned that way. So the servant now has become the master. And the person all of a sudden, once they step into that unknown, they'd rather feel guilt and suffering because at least they can predict it. Being in the unknown is a scary place for most people because the unknown is uncertain. And people say to me, well, I can't predict my future. I'm in the unknown, and I always say the best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day? So some days you just kind of slip in and it's magic because you've been practiced, like having a great golf game or a great tennis game or a great run, a great session of knitting. You're in your groove. Other days you got to work a little bit more for it. And for me, what I've learned is those hard days, the days that are the most challenging, are always the most rewarding because now you're uncompromising to an outcome. And if it takes you an hour to get beyond yourself, to find the present moment, because that's the only place where the unknown exists, the familiar emotions and hardwired patterns of the past are the known, the predictable future in trying to forecast the feeling of every event in our life that people do unconsciously is also the known. There's only one place where the unknown exists, and that's the present moment. And I've just done it enough times, and there are plenty of people in our work that have done it enough times to know when you're there and when you're not. Okay. And when you're not, it's very obvious because you've been there enough times. It's just like hitting a tennis ball in the sweet spot. You lock in something, and that wholeness starts to happen, and now you're no longer creating from polarity or duality or opposites. They create when they see they don't have something. Whether, hey, nice suit, I want one of those, right? And the moment I see that you have a nice suit and I start thinking, I want one of those, my brain naturally starts putting me in the equation. Next thing you know, I'm wearing your suit. Well, that's because we're wired to do that. So then we have this natural ability to create. The problem is after you imagine that, you open your eyes and you don't have it, people experience more lack. Well, we're not that good yet. So then the act of practicing enough times and beginning to create the state in which you're so connected to the energy of your future, you're no longer looking for it or waiting for it. You feel like it's already happened. The moment you get upset in traffic, the moment you start judging a coworker, you just disconnected from the energy of your future, and now you're back to the energy of your past. So then, when you are living in that state of creation, and you become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, you're no longer a male, you're no longer a female, you're no longer a nurse, you're no longer an attorney, you're no longer a mother, you're no longer a person with a disease, you're no longer your past, you're no longer, your face, your wardrobe, your car you drive, the house you live in, none of that. You're pure consciousness. And only when you're pure consciousness, that is the moment you walk through the door to the quantum field. You cannot walk through the door to the quantum field as a somebody. You got to walk through as a nobody. You got to go from ego-centered to egoless. And when we did our research and I was observing and observing and observing, the moment I saw people become pure consciousness is the moment they had dominion over their brain. They could change their body. They could change something in their life. They could create some future time. So the irony is that if you want to change your body, you have to get beyond your body. If you want to change your identity, you have to get beyond your identity. If you want to change some problem in your life, you have to get beyond the thought equal to that environment. If you want to change and create some future time, you have to get beyond time. If you want to create something out of nowhere, you have to get to nowhere. Now, when you are no longer thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking in the same cycle, and you're no longer endorsing these hormones of stress, and you become pure consciousness, the energy that exists in these lower centers moves, because it's no longer being reinforced. And guess where it goes? Right to your heart. And you begin to fall in love with your creation, and you want the moment to last. You don't want it to end, because you were so present in the moment that the body literally is believing that the experience is happening. And if the thought becomes the experience, the end product of the experience is an emotion. And you begin to feel like the event is occurring, and now you're thinking and feeling differently, and now you're, instead of being in the past, you're in the future. And all of a sudden, you're taking your attention off the particle, feeling separate from possibility, and now you're putting your attention on the wave of possibility, and you feel connected to something greater, and all of a sudden, you trust in the outcome. You have no idea how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but you don't need to.
Thank you for watching our video. If you found this video valuable, please consider sharing it with your friends and family to help the channel grow and inspire more people. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more impactful content.